This video is now in session, and the French presidential election is happening soon in 2022. And this is around the same time that the United States, or it's not around the same time, but it's close. It's in the same year as the US midterm elections and as well as the Brazilian elections. So, in this video, we're going to talk about President Emmanuel Macron, his party, Le République En Marche, and as well as who are his challengers. So Emmanuel Macron currently is the president, and he was elected in 2017 under the LREM. And the LREM was a new party, was founded in 2016 by Emmanuel Macron, and with it, he championed politics of somewhat kind of like bipartisanship in the United States, where he wanted people to work together, and that's why Le République En Marche was created. Now, he was able to win the 2017 election against Marine Le Pen by a pretty large margin, 33%, or more exactly 29.2% in terms of the round two vote. And so the French presidential election works similar to like the Georgia elections, where if no candidate receives 50% or a majority of the vote in the first round, then the top two candidates advance to the second round at a later date, where they then go against each other, with debates happening before then. So it was originally expected before En Marche became a party for the Socialist Party of France to win the election. You can see here in the 2012 French presidential election, the Socialist Party, Francois Hollande, won the election against his right-wing counterpart, and he was able to win with 51.6% of the vote in the second round. So, fast forward to, or actually, it might have just been the first round, but but overall, the politics in France have changed a lot since 2012, with the demise of Le Républicains and the Socialist Party of France. There are now way less individuals who belong to the Socialist Party and Le Républicains, because many of them moved over to the En Marche party by Emmanuel Macron. And he was able to win with this coalition. Now, in 2022, it's going to be harder for Emmanuel Macron to win the election because of COVID cases, because of France's economic disparities and the rise in violence that is being seen across France. So we see here that COVID cases went really high last year in November, and then it had a smaller peak in April. Now cases have started to go down, and vaccinations have started to promulgate around France, which is better for President Macron, but he faces new challenges that don't relate to the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces challenges with the economy. The economy has been slumping, and he also faces challenges with violence, because there has been increased amounts of violence by political members, and as well as fights over immigrants who come from the Middle East over to France. So these have culminated in several events. Emmanuel Macron was slapped in the face by someone, and that person was a right-wing sympathetic supporter, and he got a 4-month jail sentence. And then just a couple of days ago, one of the left leaders of France, the populist left leader of France, was pelted by flour, with flour during a protest. So these kinds of events, obviously they are not completely unexpected, because politics, if you know politics in the US, politics can get really ugly. But what is special about this, though, is that it's essentially 2017. It's the 2022 election is essentially 2017, except the economy in France sucks. And with that, Emmanuel Macron is definitely going to face a larger challenge. And if we look at his polls, his approval ratings, it's not been that good. It's gotten up since his time in the January 2019. But if we're looking at right now, which is May 2021, then you'll see that his approval rating is 40%. If you take the averages of all of these pollsters, it's 40%. But he was at a high of almost 60%, maybe like 57% during the start of his presidency. And if he wants to be able to win the re-election of his presidency, he needs a little bit higher numbers than 40%. He might need around 45% approval rating in France in order to get through. Now, obviously, American politics is not the same as French politics, so there will be some disparities in what I say. But it's mainly going to be a two-person race, and it's mainly going to be the same kind of race as last time, with Marine Le Pen most likely going against Emmanuel Macron in the second round, in the runoff round. And Marine Le Pen, last time she campaigned on Trump politics, on closing the border between France and other countries, and promoting French values with French being first. And that's a lot of the nationalistic politics that Donald Trump campaigned in the 2016 election. But now we're in 2022 and Marine Le Pen lost that election, and she has, unlike Donald Trump, realized that she probably has to change her stances in order to get more voters. And that's why she's making the National Rally, which is the party that she leads, a little bit more rational, I guess, a little bit more to the center, because right now it's to the far right, and now she is adopting a little bit more softer policies, and that may help her in the actual election, where she needs a lot of the vote vote in Brittany and as well as in other places of France, so this area of France, and she needs more votes from not Brittany. She needs votes from Nice. I mean the Côte d'Azur region, and then as well as the northeast region of France, where both of these areas are conservative. So she needs more of that vote, and then she has to break through this area right here, where Lyon is. And if she's able to do that, she has a much likelier chance of winning the presidency. But Emmanuel Macron is a very tough person to beat because he is an incumbent. Right now, we see that in the first round of votes, Marine Le Pen does end up on top. But this is the first round votes, and it's unlikely that anyone is going to get 50% of the vote, which means that all of these voters who voted for these candidates in the Socialist Party, the Republicans, as well as other members, they'll probably shift their vote over to Emmanuel Macron. So Marine Le Pen, if she wants to win, she has to position herself as a leader who can talk for everyone, a leader who can unify France. And she wasn't able to demonstrate that in the 2017 election, and we'll have to see if she demonstrates that in the 2022 elections. But this has major implications on Europe because of the European Union. The European Union right now, it's in an okay state, but after Brexit, it showed that the European Union is not quite homogeneous and synchronous as one body, as one legislative body, and that can easily be torn apart if France leaves the European Union. And in the 2017 election, Marine Le Pen said she would leave the European Union. She said that she would engage in Frexit, and that would be the end of the European Union experiment. The only major country left would be Germany, and Germany is not by itself is not enough to support the entire European Union, even though Angela Merkel has been able to lead the European Union as the top leader, or as the top representative. So this year, in this election, it doesn't seem like Marine Le Pen is going to advocate for Frexit, but if she does win the elections, she could engage in Frexit, and that would mean, again, the end of the experiment of the European Union. Marine Le Pen, if she also is elected, she will definitely engage in more right-wing politics and specifically more nationalist politics. And that's important to note because whenever Europe is, it's never, I mean, we're not endorsing Marine Le Pen, we're not endorsing Emmanuel Macron either. But if we look back at history and if we look back at nationalism has usually not been has usually ended in wars for Europe, and with rising nationalism happening throughout Europe, it's not a good sign of the direction that Europe is going. In Germany, the AfD is growing, the Alternative for Germany. That's what the party name is called. They're a nationalist party, and they're starting to grow their coalition. We can see in this Wikipedia article right here, the AfD has been able to get 30,776 members, and even though they're not the biggest party, they're still able to get more and more voters. And that is not a good sign for Europe as a whole. Now, it's a lot better than 2017, 2018, when nationalism was at its peak in Europe for a long time, where a lot of nations started to become more nationalist, and there's again a difference between nationalism and being right wing. But we could see a resurgence of that if we could see a resurgence of that in the 2022 election, and that will be a major. This will be a major indicator of the future of European politics, which is why we're covering the French presidential election in this video. Now, these elections, will most likely not will most likely end up in Emmanuel Macron victory, even if he was slapped by a right-wing sympathetic person. But it's definitely going to be a lot more divided than before because of Emmanuel Macron's COVID-19 handling, and as well as the economic status of France at this current moment. So Emmanuel Macron does have work to do. Marine Le Pen still is less likely to win, but she also has an ability to win if she positions herself more as a moderate. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.